I'm trying to like remember his style before, as we do have the countdown going into the map, which is now loading. Um, but yeah, it's. I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe Protoss. I'm trying to think who actually has an edge on this map. I like Protoss maybe a bit better than this map, but I'm not 100% sure to be honest.
Yeah, it's quite hard to tell. I vetoed it personally, so I would not be able to use my own experiences. And to go straight off the bat and introduce the players, if you don't mind me beginning, in the bottom right, we do have Sjaak representing KS as the Green Protoss, and his opponent.
In the top left is our pink Zerg representing Team Lowland Lions. It is Jonah. And actually, KS is indeed Knights Gaming, so that is Sjaak's team. So another Dutch team as well. So Lowland Lions, Knights, and Mouse Control, I think, are the premier Dutch teams, at least as far as I've seen so far. So being very well represented so far in these matches we've seen today.
Yeah, I believe they're sort of. I just took a sneak peek at a couple of the teams, and primarily Benelux countries, just at least, I think. So let's not forget those forgotten Belgians and whatnot. So
The Belgians,
yeah.
I don't know. Easy to forget. Sorry, Belgians. I love you, but it's.
Well, the
I don't know,
country
man.
is fairly small, but it has probably the most political might in the entire European Union. So, I mean, fairly important, if we want to put it that way. I'm not really sure. Actually, that's not really my field of expertise. My field of expertise is StarCraft, and even more PvZ. And I want to touch slightly upon what you said earlier. And you were sort of questioning what type of style Jonah has. I'm trying to recall the games I've casted with Jonah, and I believe I did see Roach Hydra primarily. Of course, this was. I mean, he didn't play the most conventional games. There were a number of different type of openings from both players, which sort of gimmicky the whole matchup a bit, just a notch. So I cannot say if that's his standard play, but that's what I've seen him do at least. And right now he's actually going for the hatch first, which I'm actually a big fan of.
Yeah, pretty greedy, but unlike what I was saying before, proving myself wrong already, we're having a gateway in base from Sjaak's already playing a little bit not what you would consider standard in this matchup, so gonna have quick tech and very fast. We'll have to see what he wants to go for right off the bat with the Cybernetics core. Will it be like a Stargate or straight into robotics tech? Well, I'm not 100% sure because I've not seen him play before.
Yeah, me neither. If I would have to go with the odds, I'll just follow statistics purely and say that we're gonna see a Nano 4-gate opening, and that's because it feels like every pros, actually, including me, I must say, are going for this build nowadays. And I will be correct if he cancels that Zealot. Let's see if he actually does that or if he sticks to it. Oh, he does cancel it. That's precisely what I called. I'm so happy right now. And he seems to go for the 904 gate. Actually going Mothership Core before Warp Gate research, which I consider a bit odd, but it's not far behind.
Yep, very close behind, and I mean, we obviously know with our observing 2020 vision here that he's not really in any danger because the hatch first came up, so Warp Gate doesn't need to be done in the immediate future, but, well, we should see those, if you were correct, we'll see those gateways pop down here decently shortly, but at the meantime, getting that Nexus up, Mothership Core, nice defensive unit to have, and, well, Zerg looks like he's moving towards his third hatchery, which is certainly not surprising in any way.
Yeah, definitely not surprising. I'm a big, if I would have to say what timings are proper for the third hatchery, it's either fairly early, as we see now, or after you gain some form of, map control with speed, or if you just, wait a bunch at least. So it's preferably the late or the early. You don't want to be taking a third precisely when the timing hits. And we're going to see here if a couple of links actually manages to sneak through, and I'm lacking a fourth gateway for this to be all-out Naniwa style, but maybe it will be added on, maybe it will not.
I'm expecting it has to be like another pretty decently sized building to help finish off this wall a bit. This is like the thing with this map is this space is just absolutely huge to work with, and there's actually a forge and not the fourth gateway, so just gonna be 3 gates for now, and that's a pretty stable thing to build off of. Getting the forge with upgrades as well, and I expect his next actual tech decision as far as the post robotics core tech here pretty soon. Zergling still being pretty obnoxious in the main, just staying around as long as they can to see what they can see, and that's not something that Sjaak really wants to deal with, but, well, he's stuck with a couple lings.
Oh, and actually, they're gonna see something pretty crucial right there, because the Stargate has been planted down. And these links basically survive because Sjaak decided that his Mothership Core is needed elsewhere, so it's straight off the bat heading for the third, and now we're gonna see probably Zealots being warped in, but to retaliate, or to stop this rather, Jonah is producing 20 links.
Yeah, he spotted the proxy pilot with the Overlord, so he knows this is coming. In fact, after being spotted by the Overlord, never mind, he looked thought he was going to maybe back off there for a second, but is moving in. Mothership Core going to be beat on a bit by the Queen, and the Zealots, I mean, they're just going to back off. They're like, maybe not the best idea. Wait for some more Zealots, and then maybe see what we can do. But like you said, more and more Lings in production, and now the Roaches also making their way into the field, and they're pretty good at get Zealots, I've been told.
Fairly good, I must say, fairly good, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a recall once Jonah actually reveals how much of each unit he has, because you really would be satisfied to force out a couple of units here from the Zerg. And Jonah, I've seen him do this before, and he does produce quite a lot of units, despite the fact that his opponent is not directly showing anything. So maybe that's paranoia, or maybe he's just making very qualified guesses. But here he moves out, and this Zealot force is nowhere enough to deal with all the Lings and Roaches.
The Time Warp will help out just a bit, but like you said, I mean, the Zealots actually, the Roach is not really being pulled back at all to try and save them, actually. More of them going down than you would expect, but the Zealots will get cleaned up here by the Zerg force, so getting rid of that threat at his front, and, well, so not really the biggest deal. I mean, there's a bunch of minerals for Sjaak mostly, so not the biggest deal, because he saves the Mothership Core, so no real harm done there. Gonna go ahead and beat on these ground units that can't fire back for a while, but decently sized Zerg force heading towards the main base. Yeah, he's got sentries in the way, so he should be fine.
Yeah, he should be fine. I must say, it is a decently sized force, but it's probably the slowest Zerg force I've seen in my entire life. I mean, we had Queens of Creep, unupgraded Roaches, and Lings. I mean, it's not the biggest threat, really, and we do even have a Void Ray coming out after one Phoenix. So I'm not really sure what Sjaak is going for in terms of composition right here. It's a bit mind-boggling, actually. He adds on his robotics facility right behind this as well.
He could be maybe eventually eyeing maybe a transition to Void Ray Colossus, but right now he's not adding anything else from that Stargate, instead focusing on getting the Colossus up, so that's at least going to be a major factor in what he's going for. But maybe now that Jonah has spotted out the Stargate, he's like, alright, well, he knows that's my tech at this point in time. He's expecting maybe more Phoenix, more Void Rays. If I maybe go for a bit of a tech switch and catch him off guard, maybe making a lot of Hydras, perhaps, Colossus, Wreck Hydras, maybe that's what he's got in his mind right now.
Yeah, we're not really able to tell if that whole fake, if we want to call that, has sort of been successful, because the lair is just about to finish here for Jonah, so we'll see if he actually puts down the Hydra then after its completion. Also, this middle hatchery, I feel I need to point out, hasn't been injected for ages, and that's a loss of quite a lot of production.
Yeah, there are a lot of queens just kind of chilling over by this by the third hatchery, and they've been adding on some creep tumors. That's at least they've been doing something. But yeah, I mean, not having those injections, not really what you're looking for as a Zerg player. It's pretty important.
Yeah, I have no clue what happened right there. Did you also get that?
I also had that little break, but it looks like we're good now, so it's okay. I was gonna freak out there for a second. Corrupted replay, freak out.
Yeah, oh, well, it's not the end of the world. We all make mistakes. Big shout out to the Dutch StarCraft League, by the way, to have a dedicated observer. I think that's the absolutely best thing ever, and I'm surprised not more people do that.
Yeah, I know. I was actually the observer and streamer for the last cast I did for the league, and, well, I can now say that I'm very glad I have someone else handling the production for me, because I made a fair number of mistakes with that, so I'm very happy to have someone dedicated to doing that sort of thing. So it helps out the casters, it makes it a better production as well. It's just a great thing to have overall, and yeah, you're definitely right. I think every tournament should pretty much have this, bar none. And we actually do have some injects on that middle hatchery now, so Jonah, maybe he heard us going back in time, telling him to start injecting that middle hatchery, but yeah, he's going right back to it now.
Yeah, this is probably the oddest location to gather a Zerg force ever, I must say. Not really sure if that was on purpose or simply just a small mistake of his. The third I expect to be planted down here from Sjaak, but he's not really going about doing that. And these slowlings are perhaps going to deny that third. And it's quite ironical to see speed finish at about 13 minutes.
Yeah, I'm actually really kind of scared for our Zerg player. He really doesn't have any way at all to deal with these Colossi at this point in time. I don't really know what he has in mind, because yeah, I don't think he knows around the map quite yet, so that's one thing, but he will see pretty soon. He walks on the creep with this Colossus, and I would expect maybe a Spire pop down here in a second because he really needs something to deal with this because right now he only has Roaches and Lings and they're not tremendously good against Colossus, but if it's stuck at the front and gets caught out of position, then maybe, but nice force fields at the back, keeping the Roaches out, but at the front the Roaches do make their way through. And Immortals, I don't think he has enough Immortals here. This is a lot of Roaches streaming in here, and yeah, we're finishing this up pretty easily actually.
Yeah, it feels like this timing did not work out at all for Sjaak, and he even XDs that. I mean, his army, he got really good force field off in the beginning, but it was just not enough, and Roaches started seeping in through the cracks, and eventually, you know, at a point in time, that Colossus spent more time running than actually hitting Zerg units.
Yeah.
So brave attempt there from Sjaak, but didn't really go all the way, and that's our first game in this best starter free.